So, here we go. This is this episode. This is a Squadcast, so a wee bit different from the Godcast, and this is episode number 4. Tonight I am joined by someone who is very dear to me, a brother through this work and through the Vortex. And the intention with the Squadcast is to allow people to kind of see, you know, the team, the inner workings of people that are kind of behind the scenes, the people that are helping me with this mission. It's evolved a lot over, certainly since the time you've been in. The video you sent me earlier on for 2020, I thought maybe 3-4 years you've been on about it, but going back, you know, it's 5 years now, the kind of first time you've been here. You and I suppose, I think you and John together, you know, kind of as a kind of team, which is still the same to this day. John Maguire, and John's done too. He's been on too, the Squadcast. So, been really keen for the longest time to get you on this for so many different reasons, and it's a great time, as I have been talking about on the kind of, there's that many of them now, the catch-ups. Yep. I've been talking about how there's more and more people now like starting to get on about it and starting to get to a point where they're comfortable like talking about it. And expressing, you know, where you're at, you know, what this work has done for you, how you like apply it in your life, talking a wee bit about your journey, you know, how you found it, you know, who you are, what your intentions are, you know, even like say doing this tonight, what's the intent with everything, what's the intention with it. So Mark Burns, I am absolutely delighted and excited for this. I hope it's the first of many conversations where we can. For me, my dream is to get the mic and the cameras in and catch the conversations that we have, you know, particularly in the kind of groups, the private groups, and the whether it's the boys club or whether it's the satsangs or, you know, all that kind of stuff. So enough about me. Welcome and thanks for doing this from my heart. I'm so grateful. I know how difficult this is. I'm not saying it's difficult for you just now, but I know there's a timing with all of this. And getting on about this, and then, you know, and then as we're doing now, taking it to the world and making it public. So really grateful to you, brother, and glad the time has finally came that we get to sit down, and hoping this is the first of many, you know, and eventually get more and merrier on about it. You know, I think this initial phase is like introducing, you know, the individuals as well as John and Michael and Fern have been on it. Yeah. You know, so thanks to you, big man.
Oh, thank you.
So please, let's get into it. So 2020 was, you know, when you found this, but let's go back a wee bit before that. Mm-hmm. You know, so tell us a wee bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What you all about? Where did you come from?
Yep.
Who is Mark Burns? An easy one to start.
So yeah, I'll just, you know, I'm youngest of 9, so I'm from a big family first and foremost. Yeah. Which kind of, you know, I guess sets the tone for who you are, and, you know, always people say, "Oh, you're a baby of the family, you have to get spoiled." But, you know, in a big family like ours, I think by that point, it's like, come on, just
anything but spoiled.
I say get dragged up, but that's not true. So yeah, the element of where I've been, I suppose where I probably could first relate to how did I get about this work and what kind of drew me in, you know, this. Probably, you know, born into a family of, you know, very, very, very lucky in that regard, in terms of my upbringing, in terms of a family around me, you know, very, you know, traditional, I suppose. Yeah. Brought up in as a Christian and as a Catholic, you know.
A good Catholic. A good Catholic.
You know, and it's funny as how these kind of things, you know, even like talking about this type of thing. Yeah. Openly is not something that I've really, I would be typically comfortable doing, and I guess that probably goes hand in hand with what I do is for my work. Okay. You know, it's always been one of them kind of, I suppose, subjects that I've avoided. Yeah. And probably when I think about it now, it's really, it was, you know, for reasons that are, you know, the west of Scotland reasons. Yeah.
What do you do for work, just out of interest?
So I run my own business, which was a family business. My dad started the business. Okay. Myself and my brother now run the business. We manufacture.
How long you had that?
Pressure washers. So we've been, myself and my brother's 20 years. So, you know, but probably in and around the business, we were knee highs to grasshoppers.
Yeah.
You know, so we were kind of very much brought up in that environment, hard working, everything that. Whilst we didn't want for much when we were kids, but we weren't, you know, in the sense we were brought up with good values, and you know, but to work hard for anything that we got. You know, we were never. It was always chores, and you know, anything you got was you had to earn it. You know, and that was very much.
Was that the same for all you and then kids? All you,
yeah, very much so. It was, you know, none was taken for granted. You know, which I really appreciate that. I think that's you know, something that could have easily been the other way. You know, but I always kid my dad on that. You know, everybody always say your dad's a millionaire, you know, but you know, I thought with 9 wains, I says, you know,
it's almost impossible.
I mean, maybe just a couple of maybe, you know.
It's quite funny looking back, because you had sisters in like every year at our school, and obviously Jill's mum, my wife's mum, Jill, knew your dad.
Yes.
For Wisher, and Jill, and Jill knew you as the way of the family.
Yep.
And obviously one of your sisters was in my year. It was Denise.
Either Denise.
Denise was in. Yep. Was it? Or Trees was in my year. I say they were every year. They were all over the place. But I never ever knew of you until you came in the connection. I don't know how that came about, but you know, and then just putting it all together. So just fascinating. Here there are all these. How old are you, Mark?
So I am now 43.
Okay.
You think about that? 44 actually.
Okay.
So I guess probably my first, when I think back, what drew me to this work, and I guess the thing that drew me to you, Jim, was it was the ice.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to, you know, it was the ice. That was the thing that was like, whoa, what's that? But I think if I wind that back, I remember as a kid, or I was maybe 12, 13, I must have been 13, 14 actually. What age would you say? I was doing my standard grades. And I remember getting into my dad's car, and my dad was always one for audio tapes, Nightingale, Conan,
yes.
You know.
When you talk about that stuff, it makes it real to me, because nobody else, that's all gone, isn't it? And the fact that you grew up with that, and it's, I think it's brilliant.
And I remember, you know, that was back in the days when it was cassette tapes, so again showing my age there, but cassette tapes. And I remember the first thing we used to fight for getting into my dad's car was getting Atlantic 252 radio station on the radio, you know, before my dad's
stuck on
tapes, you know. And I always remember getting in his car, and I thought, oh my God, my dad's listening to Billy Connolly.
Right.
That's brilliant, you know. And you know, I could hear a Scottish voice. And at that time it was a guy called Jack Black, which was the kind of, I suppose he was the equivalent to he was taking probably a lot of what Tony Robbins was at that time.
Yeah.
You know, he was in that kind of same space.
What year would that be? That would be like was that 80s, 90s?
It would be the mid-90s, I want to say. I want to say that would be like, I want to say 95, round about then, 95, 96 maybe.
So that was like Mine Store and House in the Right Bank, all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Aye, yeah.
And I think I was instantly drawn into what was on my dad's. Normally I'd like switch that off and put the radio on.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I tuned right in, dialed right in, because he was talking at the time. I always remember he was talking about Gavin Hastings, Ali McCoist, you know, Whoopi Goldberg, like people who I knew, and just kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dad, what's that you're listening? You know, for the short journey that we were on, I had really tuned into this, and I thought, what's that? So I took his tapes in a way, and as you used to do in the double cassette, copied them.
Brilliant.
And I listened to the tapes, and I was just fascinated with the whole idea that what the mind and the capability of the mind. I think that kind of really sparked something in me that was like, wow, you know.
Yeah.
And I think from there, you know, I kind of went, I did a bit of Mind Store and as a kid, because I was struggling a wee bit with my exams.
Okay.
And again, they did like a course for children.
I remember that.
Kind of teenagers. It was called The Discovery.
Yeah.
And I managed to go on that. They had one at St Andrews, through in Glasgow, in Bearsden.
Okay.
And it just gave me a complete different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and actually the awareness that mindset was even a thing.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
Mm-hmm.
The choice, and it was the connecting the dots, see all the things, like seeing these people who had what I classed then as being successful.
Yeah.
And it probably set me on that sort of path of, you know, always looking for that. Did the mind source thing for quite a wee while.
What age were you then? 14, 15?
14, 15, because I was coming up and sitting my standard grades, and I always remember my teachers, you know, at school, maths and things like that, they were like, no, you should be sitting the general foundation exam.
Okay.
And I'm going, you know, and what I could never get my head around with the teachers. I'm like, well, if I can pass the general exam, surely you're going to at least let me try for the credit, you know. And that was kind of the attitude. And I remember my mum and dad today up to the school and stuff, you know. So, and by then it was kind of almost they'd put their neck out for me to go and, you know, do the credit exam. So I kind of had to, you know, there was a, you know, feeling like I need to do this, you know. And I aced my exams. I did really well. It was all 1s and 2s. So that kind of set me on this path, which I never really probably even considered or envisaged going to university.
Yeah.
I always probably had in my head I wanted to work with my dad.
Okay.
Kind of just seemed the thing that I was going to always do. And my dad was in sales. That was his passion. That was his best salesman I ever met. And probably that's what I aspired to do. I went to university because I had the grades,
right? And
I went and I was doing an engineering course, and if I was wanting to put rockets in the moon, I was on the right course.
Yeah.
But I quite quickly realised that wasn't really what I was passionate about.
Okay.
And at that point, I was working kind of Easter and summer and that type of thing, and all the while I'd still kept up the whole journey. Like, so then it was like Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
You know, I spent quite a bit of my own money just you know, buying the courses and doing the courses.
Did you ever go and see him?
I didn't. I've never seen Tony Robbins. But I bought quite a few of his courses. And totally got it. And I think, like, I went on a journey then, like, all the greats, you know, Think and Grow Rich, you know, How to Win Friends and Influence People, all this sort of kind of traditional, the Jim Collins, you know, lots of, you know, books. I just started to, and it was all audio books. I was because a lot of the time then, what I was finding out, I was driving, you know, and it became like
University and Wheels.
Zig Ziglar, University and Wheels. You know, it was just like, what are you doing if you're spending all this time in the car?
Yeah.
And you're listening to the radio, you could at least be spending your time
such a gift,
learning something.
Such a gift.
And I just really got that, and like at that time, I think it was
interesting. Before that was before the internet, where you could download and like audio, all that kind of stuff. You had the radio, or your cassettes with you.
It was buy audiobooks,
right?
You know. So and again, Nightingale Conan were always the people, and through that phase, like, I think what that started it kind of starts to open up your awareness of things.
Yeah.
Even for the early days of Jack Black, there was always wee mentions of other, like the Silva method, and you know what the original teachings were. And there was an Indian guy again. I remember like listening to his, and it was completely different. Yeah. But it was just being exposed to that.
Yeah. And they were all goodness, every one of the teachers, you know, even it was business philosophy or whatever it was all a positive message, wasn't it? It was all about like success and like
very much
being better and fulfilling your potential, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Goodness.
But it was always, I think then fast forward, I think probably from the point that me and my brother, we bought the business over in, what was that, 2004, right? And at that point, we were taking a bit of a big step, I suppose, but
you're young as well. We
were young. We were really young. You know, really. When I think of that now, didn't feel it then.
You feel like a man then in your mid-20s, but you're no.
And when I think back to that, you know, like that probably gave me a great steading, you know, in many ways with some of the books and the things that I read, and I continued to keep that up. But it was funny how then you can find yourself on a journey of consume, but actually not really either applying it or practicing it in any, you know, and that was probably what it became for me. It became this kind of like, whoosh, right, what's the next one? And you know, I think even now, like when you see you've got Audible and things like that, you know, it's dead easy to consume
Yeah.
a lot of this information, which is great.
Yeah.
I think what I've learned in the past 5 years, or certainly in the last 2-3 years, maybe more so, is that it's about building. That was hard work. All the stuff I did with Tony Robbins, you know, it became, I'm not, you know, always about. I didn't maybe understand or appreciate why was it always hard work. It always seemed like you were having to. You'd go on away with it for a while, and then you'd say, "Oh, I've not been doing that," or you know, "I've not been." You know,
feel like a failure, then you start again and buy the next book or buy the next course.
And it kind of felt that way.
Do you think that was that kind of time bit of like motivation and like being successful in the 80s and the 90s and like, you know, capitalism and all that kind of stuff? It was very much about that hard work, effort's the way to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's still stuck with me, if I'm honest. That's always there.
Yeah.
I think that's been part of my makeup and how...
Learned as well for your mum and dad, same as me.
Yeah.
Like, your dad's a successful businessman, and it's like you don't get it for nothing, get out and get your sleeves rolled up, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think like that, the whole, you know, not to waste things and, you know, how you look after things, you know, that whole...
Aye.
That's there. That was there very much. Even I still see that in mum and dad today. And that's changed significantly now, you know.
Yeah.
But
and it's so valuable getting that education and that, you know, your mum and dad installing that in you, your morals and your, you know, who you are.
Well, I think that exactly that, and that was a core to like my dad's approach to business as well.
Yeah.
Everything had to be, things had to be built well, it had to be engineered well.
Yeah.
It was always designed for durability, reliability. That's what it was all about.
And when you listen to the tapes, you know, it's the philosophy of like helping people and serving people and doing it right and all of that.
I think that's where I really got my approach in sales and probably really helped galvanise my ability to, because for years actually I really struggled with labelling myself as a salesman.
Yeah.
And I think often that was because I was concerned about how that was perceived by others.
Yeah.
Which probably when I think for a lot of years I was actually very driven, or my actions were as a result of what other people thought about, you know, or how I was perceived. And there's still that, there is a wee bit of
It's
that,
interesting,
you know.
that I know you and that's very interesting.
You know, it's like, you know, and but I think that was very much from probably those teachings and how to be and the psychology of selling. Yeah. But what I really hooked into there was exactly what you described there, was I always just want to help somebody. You know, I get the kick for, it's great to get a sale and it's great to make money and to be successful in that regard, but that would be absolute rubbish if, you know, you weren't actually making a difference. Yeah. And I think that's what I've always got, and it's the only way. I always think if I'm always going to continue to be in sales, I need to be doing, it needs to be something I believe in. Yeah. And that I can get behind, and I guess probably testament to why I'm sitting here talking about the Vortex is that. Yeah. You know, if I'm honest, I can easily go and sell what we do as a business. And as I say, I didn't really see myself as a salesperson. I just seen myself as more going out, I can help that person find a solution. Yeah. And if I can make that better for them, then that's what it results in as a sale. Yeah. But that's the outcome of me being able to help them. Yeah. Sometimes you become so passionate about what it is that, you know, you'd be like, you know, I know I've got customers, there's some that, a couple actually came here and I know they're like, first time I met you, I just thought you were after you, because what you were just about was what you do. Yeah. And I think when you're as passionate about something, that's what it is. Yeah. But the passion's the thing that, that's what makes you, what people will say, a good salesperson. Yeah. And that was probably the same for my dad. You know, saying that my dad had a need to go out and sell and you know, put food on the table and you know, in that sense. Yeah. So probably a necessity there. So yeah, that's probably been my journey into, and so to kind of probably bring that to how did I get about this work? I think it was the power of the mind really fascinated me.
Yeah.
On that journey, it was always about, you know, where's the stretch, where's the things that you can do. I was always trying to push myself, like parachute jumps and things that were just like, you know, I was a wee bit of an adrenaline junkie that way. I just like to always try something. Yeah. You know, it was always about getting out your comfort zone. Yeah. You know, and when John, I think it must have been John that mentioned it to me, and I'm definitely up for that.
That was like going in the ice bath, was it?
Getting in the ice. This guy's, you know, you're getting in an ice tub, and I'm like, that sounds right up my street. Yeah. And you know, that is, as you said, that's, you know, without having looked, I'm terrible for things. Just the years are just flying by. Yeah. You know, but they think that was 5 years ago.
5 years ago now.
It's just incredible. Yeah. You know, and I guess, like, I can probably relate to it now better because I've seen it so many times, being a witness to it. Yeah. And I think that's what I feel like, you know, if nothing else, that hopefully that people can get a wee insight into the witness of what I've seen. You know, miracles is probably the only word that does it, you know, justice to what I've witnessed through some of the people that I know, that have got around this work. Yeah. But that first sort of toe in the water.
So what was that experience like? I know it's at the time it was 2020, so it's COVID time, and it was all about the ice bath and the breathing and all that kind of stuff. What was it like the first time coming up and going through it? And
very alien. It was very. It seemed almost.
Had you done anything like that before, breathwork or
no?
None at all. Meditation, relaxation, none at all. Because that was the same stuff back then. The Friday night was the same. It was more or less the same class.
Weird thing is, you know, like my sister, you know, was on this like for years and years, way before that. Yeah. But it's very hard because even now when I think about it, you know, my sister was into, you know, this in a big way in terms of meditation. Yeah. And you know, and a lot of the alternative. Yeah. Due to her own illness. But it's when people are so close to you, at times it's hard to hear. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a wee bit of me, I think, geez, you know, you never get at the credence of the, you know, at times it was like, you know, Eileen nuts way. Aye. You know, whereas now I have an appreciation for, you know, the journey she's been on. Yeah. You know, but that first experience probably, well, for like what most of us felt like, you know, you've described it before as getting shot out of a cannon. Yeah. And I never really quite, I don't think, and I think many, sometimes that first time, it's not quite, it's very difficult to articulate in words what you actually go through. I think the immediacy is, it's like, wow, what was that? For me, that took probably, when I think, and I don't know how long, but it feels like it was at least a few months before I started to think, what was that thing we went to in Lark? You know, what, you know, because at that time, if you remember, Jim, when you were doing that, it wasn't like, it was sporadic. It was like, you know, it wasn't a weekly thing. It certainly wasn't, there wasn't a regular routine to it in any shape or form. And I remember probably not that long after, like saying to John, wow, that was brilliant, you know. But never, you sent us like some of the breathwork exercises. In fact, looking through the messages, you know, the exercises are all there, right? This is what you do. Yeah. I tried to follow that at home. Yeah. And just get nothing. And, you know, certainly, you know, that's the way you describe it. I didn't get what I got when I was here. And then it wasn't until coming back again And again, at that point, I think John had messaged me and saying, look, there's a few of the boys getting together and, you know, is there anybody else you'd want to bring along? And I can't remember, I think we gathered up, you know, and I think that was the case. And I remember we were like sardines jammed in there.
Was that a private group? Aye,
it was a private group.
Yeah.
And again, that was like, there's a power in this. There's just something unlike anything else I had ever experienced before. In any way, or the feeling of a reset, but also like just a switch off.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, is the only kind of way I can describe it. And I think it's not until, certainly for me, probably then, you don't appreciate how wired you are, you know, or what I mean. Like I was full on intensity.
Switched on stress.
Yeah. Intensity of work, you know, running my own business.
Yeah. Always in the fight.
Always, you know, like it was a constant, and it's, you know, to a degree it still is. You know, there's a, you know, I've got this love-hate relationship with, you know, that element of my work.
Yeah.
But the ability to manage that now that I've got is just the thing that's been, I suppose, life-changing.
Yeah.
But back then, we were always trying to grab or trying to get that experience. So much so, like, you know, when I went away and then I got the Wim Hof online course thing.
Mm-hmm.
To try and
was that Wim Hof method, but that would be after probably Wim Hof method breathing. There was probably functional breathing at that time as well, was there, or was it more like kind of power breathing?
It was power breathing. When I was first coming, you know, it was like that. You know, and you were really having to work hard.
Trying to kill people.
You had to work hard to keep up. But the effect of that, it was like a drug. You know, there was a, that in itself was maybe there was an adrenaline element. You know, I can only describe it as a kind of rush. You know,
stress.
But it was a good stress. It was a good stress. You know, and then I think that's when, like, we were always saying, like, well, how do we get this more? You know, and when you think back, there was always wee comments like, can you just record it, and you know, and that took a long. Well, what's that now for the programme?
Took 8-9 years to even think about it, and that was the thing every week. Like, where can we get this? And is there any recordings? And there wasn't a single recording. And
I think that's where, like, then and you're right, that was through COVID. So I was then, you know, everybody else I was still working. We were kind of basically, you know, we had to still be out to work, and the factory was opened, and you know, we were doing all our work that we do for a lot of the emergency services and stuff. So it would, you know, where everybody else, all my mates, and they were aiming
the time of their lives,
playing PlayStation and getting bevied through the week. You know,
most of them are dead now. People with a keg in their back garden are dead.
So at that time, I was getting up and doing the Wim Hof thing and trying to get that experience, but just never ever.
Doing the cold on your own by that point, or?
No, not so much. I probably was. I did start to do the cold showers, you know, and then the barrel came a wee bit later after that. I got the barrel, and so that probably was the phase in.
And that seemed to go on for, what was that, probably a couple of years, but you would come back maybe like 2-3 times a year maybe?
That's exactly what I was going to say. If at best we would have probably got here 4 times a year, if I'm honest, you know, because we did a few stints of bringing people. You know, I brought quite a number of people for work and things, you know, and it just, what I always felt was it was like it topped you up. It kind of, you were here, and it gave you a great reset, but it kind of started to wane after, you know, maybe 8 weeks, 12 weeks.
As long as that's pretty good going.
Well, I always used to think, you know, certainly before you were kind of yearning for, really, right, when are we getting back up to gyms, you know? So that was fascinating, and then I think obviously the game changer.
In that time before you go, there were so many people who did that. I would see them, thousands of people, 2-3 times a year, and always, maybe because there was nothing there to support them or to give them anything else in between, but it was always similar to the way you guys were doing it. Come up and then you would disappear, and for me, like, try to piece together who was with who and who's pals and who's groups. The whole thing was fascinating.
Well, because the format would always be if you were coming the night or a couple of nights before or whatever, you would set up a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
With everybody that was in the group.
Yeah.
Like I must have, I don't know, because I'd never, my WhatsApp's like full.
Aye.
I just don't ever leave anything.
Yeah.
Like, so that's why I was looking this morning. I was thinking, geez, that's how long ago?
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
So the next step for that, when you fast forward, so basically for 2020 up until a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
January.
January of 2023, 24. Did it not be?
24, 25.
Oh no, 23.
23.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago this January.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You'd reached out. I think I got an email, saying, inviting. It was basically anybody who'd been around the.
It was in a circle, and kind of. It was interesting just how the list came together.
Yeah.
It was all people that I probably knew a wee bit better than just randoms coming in, and developed a wee bit of a personal relationship. And I think at the time it was after was that the launch of the programme?
Yes.
Start of the programme.
Because I think up until that point, probably the only regular thing that then I would have been coming to, which became a bit more regular, was like the boys' club or kind of. It wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
But there was a kind of core on a Monday night.
Yeah.
And that would be the kind of.
Was that yoga for men?
Yoga for men.
That started it.
And I think that was the start of it, and that must have been in the space where that was going on, and the programme was then became the thing.
Yeah.
And that was launching in January.
Yeah.
And I came to the first one, which was at the New Lanark Hotel.
So did a one day to change your life, and then we launched the programme on the back of that.
Yes.
Got you, and that was when you got into it.
And I think from then, that's probably where my journey on this really took a steep trajectory.
Yeah.
That
there's quite a few like became part of it that very day. And are still here to this day.
Yep.
Many of you guys there in a circle.
Yes.
It all came from that kind of that wave, that classy 2023 as John calls it. Just that group. Yeah.
But I think it's noteworthy when, like, say, when I think back to there, like Sasha was there. I sat in the front row, and Sasha and her boy was there, and Aaron was on my right.
Okay.
And to see Aaron now, to what and who I met that day, and there's so many occurrences of that. That there's too many. It's not just that. It's not a coincidence. It's not a fluke. It's the work. It's what this is. And what that's doing for for us all. Complete transformation. Aaron. There was a particular time where that really shifted. Which would have been the retreat, the ceremony retreat weekend. Which was significant. I think that's significant. That was a significant step for me as well.
So the steps for you were you came in, you had the Friday night in, and then it was the day to change your life, which was the launch of the programme. Which then at that point, so what was your practice like before then? What were you doing? What was your kind of? Did you have a daily practice? Were you doing the breathwork? Were you getting in the cold? Were you? What were you at?
I think at that point, I want to say I probably had the barrel at home, and I was doing the breathwork. That would have been it.
So Wim Hof method breathing, the recordings.
Yes, and then so I had built a wee bit of practice of going using, because the app, the Wim Hof app was it just had functionality that kind of. I'm like that. Once I decide I'm doing something, I'm pretty determined with it. I'll be pretty consistent with something. And
that was good. It was like 10 different types of breath work, and it was all different.
So you brilliant. Just, and I'm always one for getting up early. So that became my go-to, getting up. But when you then started, when you launched the programme, that was just a game changer, because it was like, I've now got the ability to tune into that every day. And that was I fully immersed myself. As soon as I had the programme, it was like, right, and it was like bombing through it. I was like, devouring it. That was
So what was the programme like then? What was the content that was on it?
well. It was all. It was exactly. A lot of that is still there, and it's the core fundamental principles for how do you get in about this. The breath work, getting in the cold. Getting to sleep at night. How to deal with stress. And if you've like panic attacks. That type of thing. That was all there. So it was all at your fingertips. And it still is. The beauty of that was it was the first and the closest that I ever was able to get to listening to some of the meditations, or the breathwork recordings particularly, because for me it wasn't meditation then. I think that's probably reality. It was all about the breathwork. And the ability to tune into that and get the effects, the same effects that I'd had here on those occasions 3 or 4 times in a year, I was then tapping into every morning. And the difference for that, for me, was just incredible. Just in terms of how you approached everything. Your family, your work. And it's always hard because these things are not, they build up, it's a culmination of things, but it's habits. That's what for me it's been. And anybody who comes around this work, the one thing I'm always saying to them is like, you need to just immerse yourself in it, because if you don't, you'll get the buzz of it and you'll get the benefit of it, but you'll actually miss what the real benefits are. And it's that consistency and what that actually, the impact that can have on your whole life. And that's where I'm at now. I'm just like, and I have been I think a lot of people find this work is finding it because they need it for some reason or another, and probably I needed it. I maybe didn't only maybe if I start to think about that now, but not maybe in the same way. That what I mean is others are coming because of significant instances that happen in their life, events.
It's normally through loss or trauma, decimation or pain or suffering.
Or they're in a really bad, difficult spot. Where that wasn't what got me here. But probably what that's given me in terms of, the hours that I was putting in, and I still put in, I still work hard, but I'm able to deal with it in a different way, and I'm very, very aware of the impact that my work's having on me, but also how to counter that. And I think that's it for me. It's like being in the type of role that I'm in, having the tools and the toolbox there to go to, no matter how bad a day I've had. I'm always getting a reset. I'm getting a daily reset. And actually when I think back, I think, geez, how would I've, if I carried on in the trajectory I was, I would have just, which was
still really good. You were doing well. I mean,
I've always been I'm quite a gregarious I'm an outgoing person. Always happy. I've never really, that's always, I've always had a very...
You're the exception of the rule in here.
Everybody always, there are a few sayings that has said that, so I think there's an element of that goes back to probably that early influence I got for a lot of the kind of positive mindset stuff, because there is a bit,
and your nature as well.
Maybe naturally I was like that. I couldn't really comment if I'm honest, because
doesn't matter, it's awesome. I'll take it. I need merit.
But there's a bit in that where I think what you become, I became very aware of is there's some things that you build and you do it, it actually becomes a persona of you, and you know, sometimes you it's like an actor playing a part.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think I became very conscious of that of late.
I think those parts you play, most of them are unconscious. You don't know you're doing it.
Yeah.
The environment and your belief systems and your upbringing and like who you think you are.
Hugely.
And the mission that you're on and who you're trying to become. And then when you wake up and become aware, then the whole game changes, doesn't it?
I think it's what you think. A big part for me has always been is thinking what other people think.
Yeah.
Where that becomes less important, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's an age thing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, most likely.
Yeah.
I think there's significant things that probably occurred in the last few years for me.
Yeah.
Debbie knowing well, you know,
Yeah.
that was significant.
Yeah.
You know, but again, having the tools. I don't think the program wasn't launched at that point with Debbie, because I tried to get. It's funny how, you know.
It's funny when you talk about Debbie now, and I think you're back to then and hearing about her and, you know, and seeing where she's at now.
Well, that's it. You know, it's like, I think a big part in this is that I've learned is you can't give it. You know, there's so many times that, and I've been one that I'm, you know, because I look at how can I help.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like this should be so many more people getting the benefit of this.
Yeah.
Than there is right now.
Yeah.
And Debbie was a prime example.
Yeah.
Somebody so close to me.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this can be so, could help you.
Yeah.
But you can take a horse to water, as my dad would always say, but you can't make it drink.
So there we go.
And then actually to see when you then stop trying to do that.
Yeah.
And actually just allow, you know, Debbie's naturally got around it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, for us, just in terms of our family unit,
yeah,
just the difference, this way of living.
Yeah.
You know,
so what was the journey with that like? How long did that take to get? I know it's still, well, is it still coming in, or is it you about now? Because it's like, for me, it becomes like no everything, but no far away. You know, a kind of way of living and being, and feeds into your diet and your belief system and how you're spending time and what you're talking about, and you know, the meditations, and it can more or less become all that you do, you know, in terms of way of living.
I think to a large extent, yeah, that's probably I'm sort of kind of full on, and I have been for quite some time in terms of, you know, I think where that started was the routines, you know, and what I'm talking about there, building that habit.
Yeah.
And naturally then one thing leads to the next.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I say, like, if you're serious really about making an impact on the way that you are or your life, you've got to fully embrace it and actually act upon it day to day. And it'll only take, you know, if you did that for, I'll say if you did that for a month, or you did that for, you know, even for the first week.
Yeah. I think 3 days is the number, and you get past that 3 days and you've got it. You know,
yeah, I think, you know, I think it depends on where you've came from, you know, how much you need it as well.
Yeah.
And because there's a significant shift in people.
Yeah.
Depending on where they're, you know, I've seen them.
Yeah.
You know, in here, Friday night sin, just recently.
Yeah.
You know, it just almost, just from coming in at 7 o'clock and walking out there at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it just, there's a transformation.
You've got it.
Yeah. So for me, you know, where that started was first, it was a breathwork every morning.
Yeah.
You know, and probably it actually wasn't every morning at first, it was probably every weekday morning. So
is that after the launch of the programme, the Day to Change Your Life?
Yes, I would say so.
And there's recordings on it at that point. There would be no, obviously not the volume is on it just now, but the time would be preset recordings and different. Yeah,
I was probably going back in, and you got to get to the point where it was like, right, that's the one I like.
Yeah.
You know, and at that time there wasn't a load to choose from like there is now. So going in there and habitually getting in that space, and it's weird because like the breathwork then started to become a meditation. You know, it's what I would know a meditation, and people kind of, that word meditation even can be off-putting. You know, but I think it's that wellness thing. You know, that space of, you know, setting you up for the day.
Yeah.
And then I would probably, that quickly became doing it at night as well.
Yeah.
So then, but probably at that time I was still doing my thing. Friday night or a Saturday night, I'd maybe go to the pub, or I'd go or be doing things that and that would set you off.
Yeah.
There was a
Time to set you back and lower your
there was an
vibration.
imbalance in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's not congruent with this work.
And that took me probably quite a long time to even fathom that out.
Yeah.
I think there's so much reflection goes on in this, or pondering, thinking about what you've done in
The last 44 years.
Which
when you wake up and you go, what the fuck? Where am I? What is it?
There's a huge part in that once you start to consider that, I think that was also a really telling piece, and it's hard because all these things, they feel like they've all happened on a phased process, but they probably haven't. There are wee bits of these things were occurring. Like when Debbie wasn't well, that was significant. But my adjustment to my life, probably following Debbie, coming out the other side of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, there was a significant shift then.
Okay.
And that was what was that? That was probably looking at 2 young kids at the time.
Yeah.
And probably then looking at the way that I was, living my life and thinking, there's some of this that's not really fitting. And probably now it's like.
And when was that? When was that period?
So Debbie, that would be 3 years past.
Okay.
3 years past in January, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
2023. Must have been 2023. Was that the year you launched the programme?
I think it was probably 2024, 25, 26. It's 2 years
Yeah,
this January, so it'll be 24,
right.
so it'll be.
So yeah, so
it's
the
2
year
years.
before. That's what I
Aye.
thought. That.
Aye.
So the year before, and that lasted probably the good best part of that year.
Yeah.
Probably to the September, I would start to say that you could see she was.
What was wrong with her? If you don't mind sharing?
No, she they put it down to strep infection.
Okay.
But she had a bad throat, and God, think about it. I'm brought up with 9 or 8 siblings. It was always, I don't have any sympathy. I don't have a lot of, you're not well. Just go on with it.
See you when you're better.
And I remember saying, I'm a doctor.
Aye.
That's terrible. But and I remember she went to the chemist. At that time, they were telling you not to go to your doctor.
Okay.
And they were telling you to go to the chemist, and they took a look at her throat. Kind of poo-hooed her. But anyway, they put it down to a strep infection, and then her body reacted to that, and it was just like her body just
to the infection.
The infection, and her body just kind of threw the kitchen sink at it, I think.
Okay.
And then it was the rash, and it was hellish, And we had Emily was a baby, just with Emily. She wouldn't have been 2 yet, when it all kicked off, and to the point that I was having to help lift Debbie back and forth to the loo, and she was going through. She had a really difficult, and she was in and out of the hospital a number of times.
Yeah.
So probably in that space, coming off the back of that, I think there was a real appreciation and awareness of there's so many things you take for granted.
Yeah.
One being your health.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably for me was a major turn. Where probably even my approach to alcohol, and just my relationship with alcohol at that point. And it's not that I wasn't an alcoholic, but I was a binge drinker. When I would go out, and I always thought I would class myself as a social drinker.
Yeah. We need to get a night out. I'd love to get a night out with you. We need to get back on it for one night only. After the programme.
It's like now I still have the, but I just don't indulge the way that I did, and I'm quite comfortable with that.
You'd be a great drunk, were you? Just cuddling people and smiling.
It gets to the point where you've had too much, and I would be like nodding, but I would still be dancing.
Aye.
That was my party trick, they used to say.
Sleeping and dancing at the
I
same
would
time.
still be in the dance floor. So I think that probably started that kind of process, and then I think fast forward, where it became probably proper serious for me, or really kind of went up a level again, was the retreat weekend.
Which seems to be the path for those that are really in about it and like living it, and it becomes their life. You can tell the ones that have, that we're all doing it now. The entire community is now doing it, but the ones that have been on the ceremony retreat, and there's something seems to happen that weekend away. It's
the preparation even for that was a game changer for me. The cleanse, the protocols, which was all new to me. Again, diets and things like that over the years. I've been on them all, like the carnivore, and again, when I do these things, I go full in. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
I know exactly what you mean.
That's kind of just by my nature.
Aye.
And I've got quite a strong head for if I'm set on doing something,
seeing it through.
Aye. If I'm no doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of that.
It's a great. Whatever that is, having that.
Aye. It's funny, but it's funny how there's certain things that you apply that to. Because there's other areas I think to myself, that determination in that area, that would be quite beneficial.
It's normally the stuff you don't want to do. You can't apply it to it. It doesn't work, doesn't it?
So that build up to the retreat, the cleanse, everything then, and the retreat itself. That was next level stuff. That really was where for me there was a significant shift in awareness of myself. Maybe even what I was, how I was, bringing myself into the environment, into the house, and just so many lessons in that. Being in the group environment, I was when I look at it now, I didn't think it at the time, but I was really blessed and grateful for those that I shared that experience with.
What a group!
It's like I can see them all. I can name them all. Where they've sat. That was an experience that and and I don't think they would mind, but take Aaron as a great example. Just that was the
who people will meet. Aaron's going to be on this, I'm hoping, very soon, so we can. And I'm hoping it all comes out, the whole story, and where he's been and where he's at, and with many of them. There's so many within the programme. This is all about. Talking about what it is that we're actually doing and normalising it. For all different perspectives.
And that for me is why around that circle. It's, and I think they would all hold testimony to the shift, and certainly at least 75% of who was in that, 8% of them, in terms of where they're still on this. Still on this path, and just beams of light, just like actually just the best people you could meet. They're just goodness. Just goodness and
real, authentic, humble.
I just love to. I would love to actually talk to the people that they know. Because the people that they must meet must be like, what happened to that person?
It's like Aaron said last night at Boys Club.
His local news agent.
Local news agent. What the fuck happened to you?
He used to be mental.
And then Aaron telling me he's meditating. Oh God!
But that's what it's real.
It's the truth.
It's
the truth.
So despite what every listen to this might be like, oh my God, what they're talking about, but that's the truth. And that's how I see it.
And the shift that takes place, like that weekend, the ceremony weekend, which is the reconnection back to the self, and we do it in all sorts of different ways. That's like a real level up. I think when people go on about this, you know, and initially it's like, well, different now, but at the time it was like the cold exposure, or the breath work, or the relaxation, or whatever it is. And then when you start to go on about it, and you start to see like how much is actually involved in it, and the levels that you can take it to with things like the cleanses and the diets, and you know, the art of intentional living, how you sleep, how you think, like every single thing matters. I mean, you condense it into like a 3 or 4 day weekend.
Yeah.
You know, where you take the phones away, and you take all the stress away in terms of the diet and the cleanse leading into it. The environment, you know, being in that sacred space, being together, everybody of the same intention, you know, to expand and to learn and to become, going through that as a group, before even the ceremony itself, you know. But that reconnection process and the quantum shifts in consciousness, when you really get a glimpse of what's available to you and how you're able to feel. You know, that's where that is so important, I think, as we go forward. You know, like the dreams that we have in terms of the ability to bring people in and take them through that kind of experience. You know, like to remove all the stresses and give them all the tools and the techniques and the protocols, and how to switch off your nervous system and how to sleep properly, and the significance of food and just education. You know, but then based on the experience of it and then the benefits of it, feeling the benefits of it, that's life changing. You know, and especially when a group goes through that together. And you're right, you see it now, the ones that are still, you can name them all, like they're still there and we're still like marching together, going forward in the light every single day. It's fascinating how that works. Yeah. So what changed after that? What was the big shift with the ceremony weekend? And
that was quite it took I suppose, it's kind of like, I came out of that and I was like kind of almost speechless, you know, at that point.
Yeah.
That took a wee while, that took a bit of processing, and to be fair, that was weeks and months, I would have said, you know, following that. But I think from there, you know, certainly my routines of, it was no longer it was just a part of daily living. Was getting up, so you know, and I think even probably to the end, that's probably when like the weekends and things like that became, it was the norm. You know, so whereas before it was like, so Saturday I'll lie in, or you know what I mean. And it became then just, it was just like almost I want to get up and, you know, meditate. There was
that collective as well. Would that be the time when the recordings were starting, the morning recordings? So every single day, 5:30 we'd go in, and so it was a guided.
Yes. Aye. And that was fantastic. You know, because, you know, I'm not going to lie, you know, I think that's why it's easy for me now. You know, it's just second nature, you know, you can sit, close your eyes and, you know, I'm off. But when it wasn't always like that. I think the post ceremony, it was a significant shift. You know, but had you not had that sort of kind of build up to that as well, you know, I think you wouldn't have had the same effect either. You know, but how did it shift? So following that, then it just became every day, every night, every morning. You know, and that was it. It was routine. Thing that became like, you know, the crazy thing. You know, the mouth taping. You know, and that had already been brought in. But Debbie was like, when I mentioned mouth taping, Debbie was like, "What are you on about?"
Debbie doesn't swear.
Sometimes.
I think that was my reaction when I heard about mouth taping. Like, what if there's levels to it? Like, no, too far.
I'll be fair, but again, I'm like that when I can, once I can start to get my head around why, and you know, the evidence for me was then going and looking at the kids, watching the kids breathe, and how, and even still I keep my eye close on Ethan and Emily, and Ethan's getting that wee bit older.
How old's your kids now?
So Ethan's 7 and Emily's 4.
Brilliant.
So watching them, you know, and how they're nose breathers, you know. So that became the norm for me then. And Debbie at first, what is he on about? What's he on about? And like most of the things, that's been kind of the way at first. And then I started I was doing the celery juice. And again, it was like, And
was Debbie's never near it at this point? She's not involved in it and not...
Oh no, not then.
Nah.
No, not then. But then it became, and I don't know, just these things seem to creep in. Like it wasn't like, oh, right, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it was the same with the cold showers, things like that, you know. But the cold showers had been for quite some time.
Yeah.
Probably, you know, that was, been doing that and at the barrel then, and I was doing it, and that was having a significant effect for me.
Yeah.
You know, particularly with the stress, you know, with work
and the impact, I suppose, that Debbie was seeing as well with how you were. You know, a lot of the time you can't see the change within yourself. You feel better, but it's what people see around about you, and how you're able to manage all of that, the stuff that she's bringing, and you know how you're dealing with stuff.
Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to think when that would have been. Christmas night out, and it was just a disaster. You know, it's like, I don't know if it's somebody. I think they got a drink spike.
I remember that, aye.
And I was really, and probably actually since then, that was probably actually when I really, you know, the whole sort of kind of drinking and, you know, really...
The Lord moves in mysterious ways. Spiked by an angel. Oh,
but aye, so after that was kind of me. I'm like,
that's a when you have these shifts. I remember like looking back at like previous addictions and wondering if I'd ever go back, and then one of my teachers saying you'll never go back there. You've jumped too much, your consciousness has shifted too much, and I think drink's very like that. You know, we just date because that West of Scotland done it. I was the same at a certain point. And you're fucking great at it, brilliant, let's go. You know, but it's like when you start to, when you start to experience the detrimental effect, you know, if you are on a night out. And you've had a solid meditation practice, and then all of a sudden you wake up, you're not quite feeling that, and how it affects everything, how they impact, you know, in your mood, and how you are with your wains and your misses and your business. And
I think that was it for me. I think I became very aware of what I was bringing to or how I was either impacting negatively or positively the environment. I don't know what it was. I don't know if there was some that came quite a real strong thing for me, because I then realised that actually depending on how I turn up in the morning was directly correlating to how the house would.
Your entire life, your business, especially when you're a leader, you're leading a family, you're leading, you know, your business and all that is. And
I think immediately I saw quite an immediate shift in that, which was, you know.
And you were a good guy. You were doing.
You know, I was always like...
But it's that, like, not being completely true to yourself and what's available to you. Like, it's forget what everybody else thinks. It's how you fulfil that potential, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, one of the says, you know, one of the times I'm out seeing a client in Ayrshire, and I just remember getting in and I was like... you know, and just, like, I remember the woman just like, whoa, stop right there. What have you been taking this morning? You know, it's like, whoa, that's too happy for in here.
Aye.
You know, but that was, I think, where I have been, and I still feel like that at times. Whilst this wave, we talk about this, like when you're on it and you're just doing great.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm always doing pretty good.
You think that when and I remember that as well, like feeling so good at work, like naturally, you know, in different phases, but it wasn't all the time.
Wasn't all the time.
And there's something about when you become intentional with it, and the intention is to feel like that. So the desire is to, so you create that, you deliberately create that feeling, and you understand all the benefits of it. And then that wave, when you start to compound that, you know, I can understand that when you walk into somebody, especially down in Ayrshire, on a wet Monday morning. Oh my God, lucky you get it.
But aye, so there is that's been incredible. There's been a significant shift, you know. Even that point, I think, being aware of how you react to the kids, and you know what you're bringing and what you're allowing to be, you know.
Again, that awareness that you don't get away with anything, because you're judging yourself. It's all awareness. The whole thing, the whole gig's awareness, isn't it? It's like what you doing, what you bringing, like how's it impacting. You know,
like I still catch myself. I still catch myself, and you know, and there's a lot of mentioned earlier. You know that I think we play parts or play parts in the
Yeah.
in the whole game.
Yeah.
And whether that be your work, you play a different role as you do at home.
Yeah.
But I think the more you become aware of that, you can start to at least bring that part that you play a lot closer to who you.
So that's my question.
Really
So what roles were you playing, and then how has that changed in terms of, because this whole thing's about learning the real you, isn't it? It's about uncovering,
So
the self.
I think probably what I saw or what I've recognised is for probably a long time now, certainly in my professional space, like work, I was probably really suppressing the emotional side, and I don't mean that I've always been quite, I can engage with people and but the feelings, I guess that's kind of probably it, really probably suppressing how I felt, or how certain situations or things were making me feel.
Unconsciously or with intention?
No, unconsciously. I think it was kind of almost trying to suppress them, or just didn't think that they were maybe best serving me in the work environment.
Yeah.
And I think the more I've realised that in itself is actually, it's quite self-sabotaging, it's quite undermining to you. I don't, there's if you're trying to hide something, or, not hide it, that's not even maybe the right word.
It's like not being true to yourself, isn't it? It's like not being the authentic self, that natural, easy way of living and being and speaking your truth when you're anything other than that.
Well, there's an ease when you're not having to do that.
Aye.
I guess I think that's it.
Aye.
And probably naturally I'm quite like that, and I'm like that, probably naturally like that with clients, and most of the time that's what they, because I'm there, and I've always just got that wee interest to see what is it. Is there somewhere I can help?
How can I help?
You know what I mean? But I think there's an element, and I never got it, I don't know, in the business space, there's almost this thing of like an expectation, because it's your company, that you have to know everything, or, do you know, that's maybe an ego thing.
Yeah.
There's this kind of like...
I thought you did know everything. Do you know?
Certainly don't. But there's in that space where you would find yourself in, like,
that pressure, everybody looks to you and like...
I think there's that, and I think a lot of time that's only within your own. It's only within your own headspace.
Yeah.
I think I've recognised that, but that's not an easy thing sometimes to shift either.
Yeah.
When you've played the part for a long time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, I think, because I still catch myself.
Mm-hmm.
I probably catch myself more, and for me that's a sign. I'm, at least if I'm aware of it, I can catch myself in these moments.
Yeah.
And I'm a naturally easygoing person.
Yeah.
At times I probably find myself having to try and fight a corner. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
And actually at times it's like,
Tired of fighting.
there's no need to. Is there a need to?
Aye. That's an age thing as well. I think as we get older and we move through the archetypes, and the stage that you're getting to, you're catching me. There's definitely there's definitely an age related to that. I think the stage that you're at.
Yeah. But yeah. So the whole thing of awareness in terms of yourself, I think that's probably the biggest part in all of this. It's like back to trying to help anybody else, or try to get to anybody else. We try to get to Debbie, or try to
Yeah. It's fascinating because it's a selfish process in terms of like tending to yourself and getting it for yourself, but then the benefits with everything that it touches.
It kind of goes against. I found it that, how you describe that, quite, not challenging, but just...
Being selfish.
Aye, it didn't seem right.
Yeah.
But once you get your head around it...
I understand what it is that we're saying.
It's completely right.
Yeah.
Because it's like that, it's like if I don't tend to myself or be and get myself prepared in the morning, and I'm then like gonna put like a beer or, you know, like stressed out my head because I'm running late, or, you know, or I've just not had the right mindset in the morning, and that's the impact I'm having on, you know, either my wife or the kids, you know.
Yeah. So what is your now? Where are you at now with it? What's your what's the programme that you're on? What do you do? What's your practices? How do you maintain this?
So, you know, every night, you know, probably the walk, if I had anything, probably I was away there on holiday, you know, and it became not as, you know, I was still doing my meditations, but my programme is every morning I'm up, normally 5 o'clock. Okay. Sometimes I'm up before that if I'm often travelling, but I'll at least get, and it might only be a 10-minute, you know, but getting in that space and just getting out of my head. But I think probably more important than that, at night time.
Really?
Yeah, like I was typically, I think, I don't know when it changed, but I would have been like 10, 11 o'clock, 10:30, bedtime. Yeah. Right? And I'd still be getting up early. Yeah. But like things like, I was like coffee, tea. Yeah. And I don't now, you know, I've kind of cut all of that. Yeah. And not that I was never one of these that, you know, coffee, if I had a coffee at this time, I could easily scale 2 coffees at night and I'd sleep. Yeah. You know, I never had problems sleeping. Such a gift. Yeah. But I then started to recognise where it wasn't really serving me. You know, so like all that was cut out. Okay. So I don't, at the odd time, if I fancy for it, but you know, I'll be more inclined to have like a decaf. Okay. You know, but I'm not really, I wasn't getting anything for it anyway. Yeah. You know, where I know that there's others like, if I don't have my coffee, you know, so up, morning, but I think the evening one is one of them. It's that where you've you know, start setting your intention. Yeah. What's happening tomorrow? Yeah. You know, or how tomorrow's going to go. Best day ever starts the night before. Yeah. Aye, it's so powerful, isn't it? And I think if I can grasp all of this together, is all the books that I said I consumed. Yeah. They're all advocating for similar things in some shape or form. Yeah. Routine, habit, you know, and what I've found, this has been by far the most wholesome in the sense of not just about, they things were all about chasing the next shiny thing. Yeah. And I think that's what, if I can boil any of this back to, there's an awareness now that actually, do you know what? It's great to have the nice things. Yeah. It is great to have the nice things. Yeah. But actually, it's once you get the nice things, it's like, what's the? No. That's it. Once you've got it, it's like on to the next. Yeah. Whereas with this, it's more about actually in the now. Yeah. It's right here, right now. You know, appreciating the moments you have, or the time that you've got, and making the most of that, and being, you know, living for the now, rather than, you know, chasing something that you think's going to give you. Almost feels like this is it's a dehypnotising process where you become awake and aware, because up to that point, you know, the unconscious just constantly chasing, whether it's a holiday or the next new motor or the next contract, whatever it is, you know, chasing the things. And you're right, you know, it's that bit where you never get to. The minute you get the shiny thing, whatever it is, and then it's like for a second it's great, and then it's like, okay, so that's done and dusted, and that's the way that it's set up, isn't it? That's what you see, you know, that's the way the world is, and it's like you never reach that place of like true fulfillment, you know, and true success of like having and everything. I want everybody to have everything. Yeah. But it's how and it's almost like the things that money can buy, you know, being present with your ways, like being there. You know, leaving the day behind, I remember like a process right when I was like fucking almost losing everything, and how do you leave it in the motor? Like, don't take it into the house, you know, so you walk in and the wains are tiny, so you're actually there for them. It's the awarenesses, you know, that make all the difference. Yeah, that's that's a key one. You know, it's like that. Grabbing the experiences now.
Yeah.
You know, and because even probably with Ethan, when Ethan was first born.
Yeah.
You know, and I probably look back now. I'm not saying I missed it. I didn't. You know,
Yeah.
but there were a lot of that where I was still in my head of work and
Yeah.
you know what's tomorrow got and what's this morning got. You know.
And doing it for him, doing it for them.
That was
it's
was
like
with the best
Of
intention.
course it is.
But having the awareness to actually see beyond.
Aye, the stuff that's important, that's really important, the stuff that really matters. Because all that stuff's going to fucking go, whether it's windies or jet washes or...
Yeah, because for me it's all relationships, and it's always been that. You know, it's like who you've got relationships with.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always been dead fortunate that way.
Yeah.
You know, like even in my work, you know, I've got, you know, people that I take business, it's friends, it's people that, you know, you like them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, I suppose that's what makes it enjoyable.
Yeah.
But you're right, that's been a bit of a game changer for me, is being able to stop and recognise that it doesn't need to be the, you know, for all the nice things are great, they are brilliant, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're taking a walk down the park or you're going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
You know, and there's just the awareness of that.
Yeah.
I think is one of the most significant things. Yeah.
And how's it been? Well, I know how it's been, but please share in terms of like where you're at, in terms of your own expansion, your own journey. You know, you talk about the ceremony and the reconnection. You got it. I mean, you're when I talk about people that have experienced enlightenment meaning the direct experience without going to rainbows and unicorns, but the direct experience of that divinity that we carry, compared to your religious upbringing and your education, and then getting on about this and you know the challenges of like what spirituality is, and then going on that journey. You know, what's that been like for you?
So that space has, you know, been always a part of me in terms of being brought up as a Christian, and you know that whole, you know, it's been very much a part of the, you know, my education, you know, in terms of what that has been, and I think the challenge probably that how do you start to see through, I think, what becomes what's man-made, you know, what's when I came out of the back end of the ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
what I would have said that I got from that was a real understanding of, you know, and again these are words that people go, oh man, the God word,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but that what that actually meant to me, or what my understanding of that was what I'd been taught out of books, and you know, or been taught to believe.
Mm-hmm.
To believe, I think that's the right word. When you get really deep in terms of the meditation, you know, as deep as, you know, we went on the retreat weekend,
Mm-hmm.
that experience of something that is just godly, you know, God, you know, beyond the appreciation of the understanding of what maybe I had any experience of up to that point, was, how do you say, the words don't do it justice, but life changing. The shift in your consciousness of that is at first when I said you had to process that, I think it was actually just the confirmation that God is not, it's like you describe, it's not just the version of
Celic strip.
aye, exactly. Sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
That bearded man.
Yeah.
That representation.
Yeah.
And I think it's the thing that we've spoke a lot about the truth when you hear it. It's, when people hear the truth, it's they hear it. It's you can't hide it.
Yeah.
And in that, I think when you boil back religion and the number of religions throughout the world, what I couldn't get away from after that was the understanding that my God is better than your God. That whole sort of, unless you follow this or you do this. That's the bit that really probably became not questionable, because I think became quite obvious that it's man-made, that's been constructed and taken and used for power.
Yeah.
And actually, probably, if truth be told, that awareness was probably already there, but probably put to the side.
Yeah.
But I think what the experience out of that was actually the knowing of God in its truest form.
That's the word I was trying to think. I was feeling that was coming there. It's going from having faith and hoping and somebody else telling you about it to actually to knowing it, to how to know the divine, to know it, and then to know that it's
and I think
inside you and you carry it and you come for it, and that everything changes.
That we're all, and it's no, whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's anybody,
it's and
people are going to hear that maybe in different ways, which will challenge the indoctrination, because that's what I've had is an indoctrination in it, and I think it's just being easy in the fact that actually it doesn't really matter, once you know that, nothing else really matters.
Yeah.
In terms of whose religion or what religion.
Yeah.
I think, would I change it? Would I help? I think the way that I've been brought up and how I've it's been there's so much morals in that whole space.
Yeah.
And how to be and how to treat people, and I think
you get a good taste of that, obviously, because of your family and your upbringing and the goodness that's in that, and the religion is so important, that it's like that kindergarten.
Yeah.
And great, and some people that's all they ever get.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think, even just thinking of our religion, like Christianity, and how you think of Jesus and what Jesus was and his teachings and how what they took from him and what they made it into. I think and it's like, come on.
There's a lot of these, that being, somebody who was, no matter, clearly they're, a powerful and, for the right reasons and for the good.
A follower of the way.
Aye, but it has been, dare I say it, to a degree, bastardised through the want to control.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
No, amen.
Yeah. That's a sore one when you see it.
It is. I think that's why. I know where, like, even that's a, even me voicing that.
Yeah.
There's a part in that, but it's my truth. It's
the truth.
Yeah, it's.
There's something undeniable about that, in terms of the one that I love is like religion, how it separates, and you see that in the world just now. Like every war that's going on, the significance to God and who's God's people, all that bullshit. And then spirituality, when people understand that spirituality is about union and united and being together.
Yeah.
And that divinity is inside of you, and nobody can give it to you. That kingdom of God, that power resides inside you. That's that God-given birthright. That interestingly enough, that the religions keep away from you.
Yeah, and I think that's where like say if you probably went to any of the, there's lots of like books, but take somebody like Nelson Mandela, right? And again, just the ability for somebody to go through such, experiences and still there's something that's always inside you. It doesn't matter what goes on.
Yeah.
Where people is going to draw power from.
Yeah.
And I think that's that part which, the connectedness of everything.
Yeah.
I think that's what I got.
Yeah.
That was just like, is something bigger than me, but that's it's in everyday. It's not like, all right, because you're a Jew or because you're a Muslim or no. You don't count, or that doesn't count. Do you know what I mean?
You kind of get it, and it's been held back for you.
That's the bit when you actually boil that back to down to that, and then all the various even types of Christianity. You know what I mean? And the factions that's in that.
Yeah.
You think, wait a minute, what's going on there?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So to think that the man on the other side of the world, because he's been brought up with, this in a faith that's completely different, that he's knows just
even the other side of this town, the other side of the street. I remember that growing up, and the differences between the guys that you played with the weekend of your pals. Now when the Celtic Rangers game was on, it was hatred.
And that's been really
insanity.
That's been I found that quite challenging. I've always found that challenging.
Yeah.
Because for a long time I'm like, going out even in work and being asked that question. I'm always upfront and honest with people, but when it came to football or religion,
Motherwell.
I was like, I'm a Motherwell fan.
You actually look like a Motherwell fan.
That must be my mates. But the actual, even there's a good example.
Yeah.
That's an example of one of those things which I probably talked myself into that was the right thing to do, and it was probably what I was taught to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't just brought on by just me.
Yeah.
But just don't get any football.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't.
Yeah.
Where I'd actually,
and the bias your dad would experience back in the day with business and all that kind of stuff.
And it was never ever like football was never a thing in ours. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the things it's you can't you don't choose what you're going to be born into.
Yeah.
And you don't get to choose what school you go to either.
Yeah.
So, but in the west of Scotland, that's obviously a big thing. It's how you're, it's how you're teaming.
Yeah.
The
tribe you're assigned to.
It took the sheen off lots of things.
Yeah.
Having to hide that or again, not being true to who you are.
Yeah.
Which for in so many other ways that was never a thing.
Yeah.
That was one thing that was, and even still, I'm still like that. A bit like,
yeah.
When somebody asks, I'm like, oh man, and it's just I suppose that's a habit part,
Yeah.
But and it's hard because bringing up children, in terms of what is that and what is faith and what's the right thing, as I said, I feel that I've certainly had the benefit of it, but I think you get to a point where if you see beyond what that is, you see beyond as I said, the mankind, the man-made part of that.
There's something about that veil when the veil's stripped away and you see through everything, which is happening to so many people just now, and then the question becomes, right, okay, so what is available and how am I going to do it, and what's the evolution of this, the question you asked me about your children and nighttime prayer, that's something I'm still thinking about, how we communicate that to them, and what is your truth, what's the kind of the way that you're living it, and what does it mean to you? Because getting it at that age, imagine
that's it for me. It's like it's taken me to 44 to get that, and probably for some of the books that I probably read when I was 21 and 22, I could have got it, or maybe I wouldn't have got this. But what I mean is there was the essence of a lot of it then.
Yeah.
But it's I think that's where you really become really aware of so many things. Like now, I don't look at a newspaper. I don't watch the news.
Yeah.
Because I can see that to the point as to what purpose is it serving me.
Yeah.
And I'm no worse for it.
Yeah.
I dare say I'm better off.
Yeah.
For it, and that's been for God long enough.
Yeah.
And I'm now at the point where I was like, you think, what happened?
Yeah. You miss it all.
You miss it all.
Aye. Well, when your singular intention is to feel good and experience well-being and be in alignment, and go and fulfil your potential, and the last thing you want to do is check the news, and it's still going to find you in certain points, but again, it's that awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I look like my mum and dad, and particularly my mum, she watches the news all the time.
Aye.
And,
a generation, that's where they got their information.
Yeah. But there is a part of that, and I'm thinking, there's so much of that it's the awareness of how that can impact how you feel, and then it's knowing how you feel and how that impacts your well-being, and I think that's what I became very aware of. Is I need to control how I feel, and I need to ensure that's, and I think that's if you can keep that in check, if you can keep that in a good kilter, that's
the whole game.
So that's why for me now the daily routine of morning and night, is kind of almost a given. Then I don't stray too far off the path. You always have moments of really, but I think it's the ability to deal with that as well. And take a breath and realise that actually, that's a bit shit. But
the choice. What can I do about it?
A bigger picture in this.
What can I do about it?
Not really a great deal. I can affect the way that I react to it. Is about the best I think we can do. And I just think what the work is.
So where are you now with it? Because the role that, and this is where the thing, and with yourself in particular, the Vortex and the way that it's going and this community, which it is now, since the program's been launched, and all the work that we're doing daily, the meditations and the get-togethers, and the Vortex now is not just me. There's us that are driving it, and you're a huge part of that because of all of that, because of your everything, all that you are, and you're as a human being, your business experience and your take on things. You're an absolute sounding board to me, especially for the last couple of years has been invaluable. So your role within that, and the part that you're playing in it, how do you see that, and what's your intentions with it, and how do you see this going? And you spoke about the challenges, like trying to gate to people, and it's fascinating watching, when we see it, we saw it again on Friday night in, and like literal miracles that people are experiencing inside an hour and a half or 2 hours of just like switching off their stress, and that's so basic to us. And the desire is like, how can we give this to the world? How can we get this out there, and and bring this light, and offer the solutions that it brings?
And I think that's it's like the in this world that we are, and there's a real sort of kind of shift on, in terms of what people are seeking this out. They're looking for it. It's just that it's in the noise that's out there. it would appear that it's quite difficult to, but I think it's a steady build, but there's kind of almost like a tipping point, where that's just going to be, and that, I suppose, where I see it, and I'll always, I'm part of, why I'm here talking about it is because, like I said, I'm a witness. I'm seeing those, that's not just what you're saying is happening. I have personally witnessed numerous occasions now, the transformations that you would class as, as a miracle. People just broken, decimated, like absolutely, but turn, within a matter of, a session. And the power that's in this work, Jim, it cannot be understated. There is a real power that if people find a way to get themselves in and around it, and it's life changing, and I'm talking to the people that are, broken. They don't have decimated. They're just on, as you say, the bones of their arse. There's always this is well, if they've tried everything. They've tried the AA, these addiction classes, or whatever the courses have been put on before, and still find themselves picking that up. The tools and techniques that you're able to give to them and share with them, that's life changing for them. And I think in this space, I'm excited to what that becomes, because it's got such huge potential, and it's not just here in Scotland, and what the programme's got. That the programme is just, if people are really serious about.
So what is the programme? Because again, I'm never in the programme. I've never been on it. Which sounds madness, the fact that we created it, but it's like, so you're living it every single day. So what is the programme? Because it's difficult for me to. Obviously, it's the art of intentional living. It's about taking back control. But what is, in your own words, what is the programme?
I think for the first thing, it's about if I can only imagine, if somebody's seeking help, they need to be led. So the programme is a place where it's an app. You can go in there and you can walk through without having to be sat in front of you, Jim. And listen, absorb, hear exactly what the practices, and just tapping into take a breath work, or the stress reliever. People plugging that in and putting the headphones on and playing that for the first time, if they are in chronic stress, or for the first time maybe just gets that wee bit like, whoa, what was that, a wee gap. That's the first taste of it, so, but in the programme itself, what you've got is like a series of steps, baby steps, so to speak, about how to get around all the work that you've taught us, breath work, cold water exposure, how to get to sleep at night, how to prevent a panic attack, or if you're in a panic attack, how to deal with that, how to set yourself up the night before for the next day, and I think anybody coming in and looking for relief, immediately what they're going to find there is exactly that, getting led by the hand in a process, in a way that takes them on a journey that starts with just taking the first step of it and just following it's I would say it's very self-intuitive, and depending on where you're at, what you're going to find in that is there's something for everybody in terms of where you're at, whether that's a manifestation thing that it's something you're trying to bring about in your life, you know, whether it's that point of switching off what stress is in your life, but actually bringing about a calmness and a peace that probably a lot of people have never experienced.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've seen that and heard it. It's not just, you know, people then verbalising it.
Yeah. And to think that's the natural state, that's the really frustrating thing, isn't it? That's how it's meant to be. That's, again, it's one of the God-given, that's how you should begin through your life, peace of mind and sleeping properly and feeling good and being joyful, and how many people actually live their life like that?
Yeah,
who said you? No money.
But I think it's that the tools and techniques to be able to, even when the shit days do happen,
yeah,
that you've got a mechanism of dealing with that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's it. It's like, I still have shit days.
Yeah.
But I just know that it's only until I get...
Well, the circus doesn't really change, doesn't it? And the waves keep coming, you know, but it's how as I used to, like, the waves would be hitting me there.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you get through that first session, you know, and people, you know, they learn how to swim. And then they get to a place like what yous are living, you know, every single day. And you think of the community just now and the daily meditations and, you know, the collective consciousness and the collective experiences when we all sit together in meditation. It's like for drowning to you know, survival, from survival to thrival would be drowning to like almost literally walking on the water. That's what it feels like, you know, when you think how the world used to be and how it got you down and took you down. You know, and then the understanding of like life actually coming from you and what you put into it and how intentional you're with it and the work that you do, you know, then how life starts to respond to that, isn't it? That's the thing, that's the interesting
and that's
part.
a great analogy, you know, just even that sort of kind of, you know, if you think of your body and you just think, you know, when you're running on empty and you're doing your toenails, you know, and that was the reset that we used to get when we'd come here in that initial period. It was like, wow.
It was reset and reconnect. That's what that class was.
You get a real top up.
Yeah.
You know, and you were brimming with it. Yeah. You know, but as the knocks and bumps come along, and you lose a wee bit of splash out here, you know. Yeah. But we've got through the programme, certainly that's what I got for it, is the tools and techniques to top that up.
Yeah.
Not just once a day, twice a day, three. You know, as many times a day as you want.
Yeah.
And you hear, you know, like Daz, you know, Big Aaron, you know, John, you know, these are guys, and they're all out in building sites working, and you know, and they're saying, I just went up on the roof and I started meditating. You know, middle of Castlemonk, and I take my shoes back, you know.
Aaron sitting under a tree in the middle of summer. I need to do this. I'm going to kill somebody. I need to meditate.
But, you know...
Which is so much better than taking drugs or going to the bookies.
You know, doing what he was doing before.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or, you know, getting into it with somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The road ragers are now like...
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating.
Wishing you will.
Aye, absolutely. Brilliant. So, going forward, I think there's this wave that we're talking about just now. The fact that we're having this conversation at last, you know, and there's more and more people within, you know, within our circle and boys club as well. I think that was another evolution of probably the ceremony and the consistency and what boys club has become. We tried it with probably the satsangs but there's something about the Monday nights, you know, and how, you know, we're going through this together. This the core group, you know, the real there's again, and this is where people can win about it. And there's been a couple of program members joined this week, and for me the really important part is to get in about it, like really like contribute, submerge yourself on it, get in like right up to it. You know, Wayne Dyer used to say you can't get wet with the word water. You need to take it in and swim about and see what it feels like. And the ones that seem to get the most out of it are the ones that just go like gung-ho. They get into the groups, they get into the Sunday service on a Sunday night, they make themselves available and get to know. And I think that's obviously maybe a wee bit challenging as well, because the wave that we had, like, they lives every single day, that the hundreds, probably thousands of hours now of recordings that are on the programme, that we've all done together. We've all been there sitting in the rooms and going through that whole journey, the ebbs and the flows, even myself, and the support for you guys. And it's been, and now, for me, the main goal is to have the programme in a position where people never ever get to the need to meet me.
Yep.
The information is stored there, and that's why we're doing this. We're documenting everything. That's what these conversations are about. We're explaining it.
I think that's there.
Yeah.
It definitely is there.
Aye.
It's exactly what you described there, Jim. If you get on the programme, there's no point in signing up to the programme and then it being something that you don't look at.
Yeah.
It needs to be something, and it's kind of back to all the books.
Yeah.
It's one thing reading a book.
Yeah.
It's another thing implementing it.
Aye.
And what the programme really, where it differs is, it's dead easy in the sense, but you need to sit up, get up in the morning or day at night. You need to have a kind of a dedication of applying yourself to it.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's a stumbling block for a lot of people. The fact that it's not driven by anybody in terms of making you do it. It's that self-reliance, isn't it? Like, are you going to do it? Like,
and I think that's why it's maybe not been for everybody. I think that's
100%. It's too hard.
Yeah.
No. Unless you really, really need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be something that's driving you to, a need or, a desire for something.
Yeah.
That's going to make you, build that habit. But what I kind of get is when you feel that good.
Yeah.
Why would you not do it every day?
Yeah.
When you get that
thing
feeling
for me as well. Yeah.
And that's what I'm at. It's like,
yeah,
I'm buzzing.
It's like Dad said last night, I'm almost at the point where I'm annoying people. I'm feeling that fucking good, and it's like, what a great place to be when you're walking into that place there where you're just, your natural state is just joy. And seeing the impact, the negative impact that can have on people. The path of the righteous man is no easy.
But so where is it going? I don't know. It's like there's a trajectory with this as to what the potential of what it's got. It feels like sometimes like the best kept secret.
Aye.
But I think that's what maybe this work is.
I think it's
going to find it when you need to find it.
Aye, I think when you need it, and I think because of now, I'm being not more open and honest, but real. What this work is spirituality, isn't it? It's about reconnection back to God, and meditation, and fulfilling your true potential on every level. The physical level, the lower self, the ego, but also the spiritual journey as well. And I think the fact we're talking about that, it's probably scared a lot of people off to this point.
Majorly.
But that's what it is, and I can't do anything. That's just what the fuck it is. That's what we're doing, and that's the only way that I'm teaching from where I'm at. But I've always felt like the amount of adversity that would need to be required for people to, because who looks for God?
Aye.
Really? I mean, who needs to? And now, the way the world is and the challenge that people are facing, and the fact that there are so few answers in any of it, including all the greats and the gurus and the sages and the leaders that are online, it's like there's no real, proper real content, like the stuff that I would consider, the most important stuff, which is a spiritual journey, and then how to get that.
I think what to pay to that is what you've done, Jim, is you've given as a mechanism that as an absolute noob, somebody who's never been around this kind of work, what the programme is a system that can get you to these places which are talked about in the books, which are, often referred to, but just seem to be able to grasp, or don't seem to be real for a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I say it's like they need to embrace. If you're going to get into it, you need to get into it wholeheartedly. Yeah. There's no half effort in it, I don't think, particularly in the early days, because you need to catch that wave of it.
Yeah.
And
And the
It
timing
would be
in
for
that as well, the
everybody.
timing's huge in terms of when it comes into people's lives and whether they're ready in their environment, their situation. There's so many bits that you fit in for people to actually get it.
Yeah, it won't be for everybody, but I think what it will be for the people that it is for is the impact actually that they carry into their lives.
Yeah.
You know, and the ripple effect of that.
Yeah.
I don't think can be underestimated. You know, because I think that's significant.
Yeah.
You know, like the situation with you and John on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, how many people, Jim, have you know, hidden these through? You know, I've been to most of them. You know, the events that you've run. You know, to 80, 100, 150, 200 people. You know, who's to say it's what they people have had out of the experiences have just been, there's just been enough there. It's been
It's fascinating to think that people come and get it and that's it. You know, they walk out, you know, and they've got enough.
But there's so much more to it than that.
Well, that's the thing. That's the bit that for me it's like
there's a rescue.
Yeah.
There's a sort of kind of like pulling the person out the water that's drowning.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
And that's significant, of course.
And that might be enough. That might be all they ever need. Yeah.
You know, but if I think the shame in that is as if they miss potentially what else is there.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that could sometimes be the thing. People get such a significant lift or shift from their current state of where they were, and it could be permanent. You know, most. You know, I don't doubt that.
Yeah. And they think that's it.
And they think that's it because it's the contrast to that.
Yeah.
Is incredible.
Yeah.
You know, for somebody who's broken to the point that, you know, they're considering taking their life, or you know whatever that might be.
Yeah.
You know, or the rock bottom. Yeah. To lift them back to even just a level which they used to be accustomed to.
Yeah.
Is significant. It's like that appears life changing. It is life changing. But there's so much more to this.
Yeah.
And when I talk that out, that's a big part of what I've seen.
Yeah.
People who have.
And that takes time. I think that's what it's been the last couple of years in particular. You know, like when I sat down with McFadyen, we're documenting everything, and we're recording it, we're capturing it. And then I remember seeing their faces when like explaining the wheel and all the different bits to the whole system and how vast it is.
Yeah.
And then you see like Mark Auld, like 6 years in, 7 years in.
Yeah.
Me, all these years in, like and how the ebbing and the flowing and the constant expansion and how, you know, it never ends. The journey doesn't end, and it does take time. I used to say, like, the people coming at the Friday nights and how you got it, you know, like being opened up to it and then like pondering it for the next 2 hours and then getting drawn back towards it. And
so that's why
it takes time.
There's a slow burn.
Aye.
You know, I think that is it. You know, and that's where, you know, there's a point in this. Is like, what do you do? How do you take this to the world?
Yeah.
You know, how do you know? And there's many ways that you can, you know, as you know, that's been tried.
Yeah.
But it might just be that it's a slow burn.
That's the way that it needs to be. I think that's the only way that it can be. You know, and the evidence is that. You know, it's like us doing what we're doing and shining our lights and smiling and being yourself, and you know that's it. And try to sell it and try to market it, it doesn't work.
And even if you've said, you know, if this is it, you know, and that's what, you know,
this is great.
Brilliant.
It's great.
You know, it really is. It's like, you know, if I can control no matter what's going on, and your circumstances around you, you know, but still be able to control how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's power in that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, that's worth its weight in gold.
Beautiful, brother.
You know?
Beautiful. On that note, is there anything else you would like to speak about? Or are you quite happy with that? This is going to be the first of many, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
The intentions to take it to the intentions to spread this awareness and to get people round about it and to know you and to know John and to know the rest of the inner circle, so they can see who we are, you know. And your story coming in with your perspective is going to be very different for Aaron's, you know. And for me, it's about getting people to hear their stories. Normal people, us, grew up in Wishy, you know, we went to the same school together. Like, it's like, how has it impacted you? What do you do? What does the programme mean to you? So it's like, I think these conversations are invaluable.
Yeah, hugely. But just the part you're talking about there. What's the future of this? I think that's where this is something that's it'll become it's a way of living. It's not just it's not just a fad. It's not it's not getting thrown in the ice. And I get, the ice was a thing, and it's a tool.
Still part of it.
It's a tool.
Yeah. If you need it, yeah, still part of it.
But this system, the program, it's that way of adoption of living, but that can be applied in so many. Jim, I look at some of the environments and the businesses and the organisations which are crying out for this.
Yeah.
You just look at the health service and the referrals that they're putting to people with drug addictions, alcohol addictions. There's immense need, potential for it, and I think there's just that just takes one or two of that to drop in, where it's like, and that'll come.
I think the wave of people that are going on about it now, as I've known for the last bit, it isn't just about me anymore, and I can't just do it on my own. God, I've tried, and it didn't work. It's too hard. It's made me no well, like really kind of, and getting to the point you're almost like despondent with it, and it's like you can only go so far. And then now, the troops have arrived, and the training that you guys have had and what you've put into yourselves over particularly the last couple of years, and now there's so many teachers within this group, so many people that are like mastering themselves, so many people experienced enlightenment and know the divine power and are tapping into every single day, and are through their lives, in spirit and inspired, and living that life, like a life like full of fucking light and lifting people up and wanting to bring and contribute, and then go and try and do something positive in this world, make an impact. That's the difference just now, what it feels like. That's what this is about, this wave of us doing it together, and fascinating the group that's here now, of all the different groups that have been, and you think of the goodness, you're smiling, you think of the goodness that's in this group, the community, and just the power, and so only goodness, just no drama. You think of that, like no drama, like no bullshit, there's no arguments, and there's no, and the people that can't keep up with it or don't, they just, they're never any crossword. People just seem to fall away from it, but the wave of the ones that are run about it, this.
You forget, you look at Boys Club, what's his name? Look at Ross.
Aye.
Right, like the complete difference in Ross.
Yeah.
Nicky.
Yeah.
Look at Nicky.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah.
That's the evidence. That's the part. And you can go in. Myra. Just these are people who are them telling their stories.
That's a dream.
That's
a dream.
That's where.
Yeah. The testimonials, people talking about how they do it. I used Myra today. To about choose your heart. When you hear Myra's story, big Myra, and you hear her story and who she was and her life, and and you see how she's living her life now, and like choose your heart, like fucking, it's just wonder. So many teachers, so many authentic teachers. Ryan, you think the voice that Ryan's got and how he's got an impact, and just goodness, it's there's so much power in it,
and the depth that's in John, just
Aye.
It's just incredible.
It's incredible. It's just wonderful, so it's like it's an exciting time, and I am so grateful, brother, for everything that you've brought to this, that you continue to bring to it, what you do for me, what you do for the community, for so many. The Friday night was the example of that, those two newbies that came in your training, and Deb's as well, and Kieran as well. Cass, forgot about Cass. Cass, when he got his testimonial back up, I thought you were off your fucking nut. That's my family as well, but you think about what happened on Friday night, where somebody's really struggling, in your level of awareness and in compassion and empathy for another human being, and just bringing a different level of some, call it what you want. I would say it's unconditional love.
Yep.
An intention to help another person find relief, not to do it for them,
Yep.
but just to bring something different to them, and then see what happens to them. And that's the evidence for me that is like we're doing it. The power in that. And that's the thing is that anybody can learn it. Anybody can be part of it. So it's no mine, and it's no me, and it's no yours. It's this way. This natural way of living and being, of how it's meant to be, that makes everything better.
We could sit here all night talking about the people, and I mean, like guys like Cass,
aye,
and just Lynn,
aye,
just absolute,
aye,
the drastic, just shifts,
yeah.
People losing years, in terms of how they look.
Yeah, and the most significant part for me is like watching all of them, like the ones you've mentioned, and you see where they're at now, and you hear them speak, and how it's the truth that they speak, but how humble they are, and how the ego has gone, and the goodness that's in them, and there's never any exaggeration, or it's so refreshing compared to the world and the circus, and it's that constant striving. And I had a situation the other night myself where I was in the presence of somebody, and I was just like, fucking just me. You're like, when you don't have that, and we never really talk about, it's always about the greatest good and the work and the programme and our experience together, but there's hardly anybody knows what anybody does, or it's fascinating, how this journey and how we're on it together. And there's so much goodness on it. It's really, really grateful. And on this night, particularly to yourself, brother, for all that you are, and for what we're doing together, what we're doing with this work. And just keep it humble, man. Just keep doing the work, keep showing up, and we keep moving forward there.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
my brother, Mark Burns. Episode number 4, the Squadcast, and I'm hoping this is the start of a new wave of all these recordings. And thanks to Mark for his time tonight, and we keep going, moving forward together as one. Onwards and upwards. Peace out, God bless, and bye for now. Done.
Awesome.
Thank you. Easy peasy.
Aye.
Easy peasy.